Okay, gang, I'm going to just start because, well, I'm already late and I just got to get this thing started. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday on the Morning Night Live. I'm here and I've been kind of busy this morning. So as you can see, this looks different. And I just realized I forgot my little thing, you know, the sunrise thing I usually put up there. But I think that's the only thing I forgot. Hopefully this will go well. I've got a whole new set, a whole new things, lots of things to click and stuff. So I'm going to try to get it right this time. You know me. We'll see how it goes. Johnny, play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dog Night.
All right, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I am your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Night on the internet. And welcome back to the P-Dog Night channel, where things are a little different than they were yesterday. I just realized I can't seem to get my chat box working, though. Oh, wait, is that it? Oh, well, that's weird. Apparently, it'll only do the ones that are going now, but it's working. So anyway... Hi, welcome to the show. I've got a lot of stuff open and not a lot of time to do it. So I'm going to try to dispense with a lot of the frivolities that I often bring to you on the daily and just say good morning to everybody. So let's start with the chat first. First in the chat today is Avocados Diablo, who was here first and got the bell. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show. Also, good morning to Black Keeper Israelite.
That's right.
And Somnable Nation, Mike Savage, Blarg. Also, Septus Wolf's in the house. CNN Sucks, the most redundant name on the internet. And also, good morning to Rotten Corpse, Tyler F., Simon Wolfwood. I said it right that time. Good morning to my favorite Canadian Jaeger pony, Zach Osborne, and Nomads in the house.
Stop. Hammer time.
I know there's more people than that. I think. Well, maybe not. That maybe not. That's it. Well, I hope you all are enjoying the morning. I'm trying to make this look a little different, and obviously it does. So hopefully, and it's weird. Is the chat thing working though? Okay. I guess it is. Does it do a little? Well, okay, so here's the thing. I just set this up, but I'm not sure how it works. Hopefully it'll work, and I'll just keep it that way. So anyway, let's get into it right away because there's a lot on my plate, and I need to get it off. We'll start with a little news. Okay, yeah, there's Somnambull Nation. It's kind of, it abbreviates names, doesn't it? I see what it's doing there. Okay, well, like I said, it's the first time I'm using it that way. So the name of the show is Outgunning Each Other, and it's sort of a thing. Good morning, Thomas Cleaver. I see you there, brother. It's not exactly first, but close. You're close. You're in the top 20. So there you go. Let's just start in the news because I got a lot to get through. So first, let me see if I can get this. Let's just work center. Oh, I see what it does. I gotta have, let's see, I didn't set this up yet. There we go. Make sure I can see everything I put on here. And like I said, it's I completely revamped this so it looks a little different now. Anyway, let's start with some news first. Joe Biden, the president of the United States. Joe Biden. I'm giving you the Ukraine update, which apparently the president has decided that he's not going to send rockets to Ukraine that could reach Russia. He's not going to send rockets to Ukraine that would reach Russia. Interesting. Good morning, all you need. I'm just going to read this, but the first thing that came to mind when I saw this was, doesn't Ukraine border Russia? So if you have decide to not send rockets to Ukraine that would reach Russia, that means you're not sending rockets to Ukraine. But let's see what this says on Twitter. The U.S. President Joe Biden said on Monday that he would not send rockets to Ukraine that could hit targets inside Russian territory. While Ukraine has received extensive military aid, it says it needs the long-range rockets equivalent to what Moscow forces use. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian military is continuing its effort to hold off the Russian advances in the eastern Donbas region. Let's see. You know what? That means you wouldn't even be able to send bottle rockets because it's the border. They border each other. Holy shit. Anyway, some EU nations are losing appetite for sustaining a war they think is unwinnable. By contrast, Poland and Baltic countries who once lived under the Kremlin's boot see themselves as the next line for Russian imperialist expansion. So that's now. So here's the Wall Street Journal article. It says cracks appear in Western Front against Russia's war in Ukraine. Now, I'm probably going to get one of these things that says you can't read a Wall Street Journal article, is my guess. Let's just do this. Let me just take care of this right now. Give me a moment, and we'll fix this just in case. Let's see if this works. Maybe someone, yes, it was already archived. Great. I'll do an archived version of the article. So, now this is talking about how some of the Western countries are not so feeling good about this anymore. It says cracks appearing in the Western Front against Moscow, with America's European allies increasingly split over whether to keep shipping more powerful weapons to Ukraine, which some of them fear could prolong the conflict and increase its economic fallout. At the center of the disagreement, which is splitting a group of Western European powers from the U.S., UK, and a group of mostly Central and Northern European nations, are diverging perceptions of the long-term threat posed by Russia and whether Ukraine can actually prevail on the battlefield. The first bloc, led by France and Germany, is growing reluctant to provide Ukraine the kinds of offensive long-range weapons it would need to reclaim ground lost to Russia's armies in the country's south and east. They doubt Russia would directly threaten the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. On the other side, Washington, London, and a group of mainly Central and Northern European nations, some of them former Soviet bloc members, see the Russian offensive as a harbinger of further expansion by Moscow, making Ukraine the front line in a broader war pitching Russia against the West. The differences between the two groups, which European officials said have been building in recent weeks as Ukraine lost ground in its Donbas area, are getting aired more loudly in public this week as the European Union heads of government hold a summit in Ukraine. Collectively, European governments have been able to agree on measures to isolate Russia's economy that once would have been unthinkable, including an embargo on most of the crude oil Russia sells to Europe, but opinion is sharply divided on the stakes of the war and Ukraine's chances. So this is where the backdrop of the president saying that he's not going to send rockets to Ukraine that could reach Russia. So again, perhaps my geography lesson is incorrect, but I could have sworn that Russia and Ukraine share a border. So That means even now I don't know if now our javelins, they call them anti-tank missiles. I'm sure rockets and missiles are two different things. Rockets, they supposedly are ground based. Is that right? Is there such thing as a I don't know. The difference between rockets and missiles always messes me up. But anyway, I just think that's an interesting statement that he will not send rockets that could reach Russia. Some of the European nations are getting a little bit tired of this war already, and again, the economic fallout is not good. So we'll see what happens now. In more home. Now by the way, I'll have these articles, everything that we're putting up, in the description down below at the end of the show, like I always do. I'm not changing that. I just changed what this looks like. Tell me if you like this too. I'm going to experiment with a couple different sets, but this is the one I came up with for today. We'll see how it goes. By the way, you can sponsor the show up here at pdognight.live. This right there. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, or well, you already have my YouTube channel, but I'm P-Dog Knight everywhere, but except this one, except for Instagram, where I'm Yes That's Marty. So if you're looking for me on other platforms, then you can find me as P-Dog Knight most of the time. All right, let's move on. Now, the president visited Uvalde, Texas over the weekend, and so I have a couple stories about that. You probably heard some of this already. President Joe Biden. This is from 2 days ago, so it's behind. There's the way the verbiage, but President Joe Biden was in Uvalde, Texas on Sunday in the wake of a mass school shooting that claimed the lives of 19 children. Blah blah blah. We already know that. And First Lady Jill Biden met with families of the victims as well as community religious leader in the area. So there's a whole bunch of stories about that. Now, they visited a memorial outside the school in Uvalde, and then, well, let's just talk about what's happened since then. Joe Biden is now calling for, and we've talked about it yesterday, so I'm not going to talk as much about that, although I do want to show you one report from This is CNN. By the way, thank you everyone who shared the stream and retweeted the stream and stuff like that. So Biden, yesterday, it was reported that Biden is calling 9mm weapons high caliber weapons and suggests banning them. So a lot of times our president has a tendency to talk straight from his hind parts, right? It's just a fact. He talks from his hind parts quite often. And this is one of those cases. So President Biden on Monday took aim at 9mm handguns, appearing to suggest that the high caliber weapons ought to be banned. The president made the remarks outside the White House after returning from a visit to the site of a mass shooting in Texas, which they have to, every single article tells you the details. You should know them by now. Recounting a visit to a New York trauma hospital, Biden said doctors showed him x-rays of gunshot wounds. They said a .22 caliber bullet will lodge in the lung, and we could probably get it out and may be able to get it and save a life. A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body, Biden said. That is a quote. Blows the gun out of a body. So the idea of these high caliber weapons is there's simply no rational basis for it in terms of self-protection. Hunting, Biden added. Remember, the Constitution was never absolute. Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. First of all, good morning, John Arnott. Good morning, Kiever Dam. Good morning, Crackshot. Nice to see you. the president, now, he said you couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. That is still the same lie he keeps telling over and over, and I wish somebody who has a brain in the White House would remind him that cannons were absolutely available for purchase when the Second Amendment was ratified. I'm sorry. You could own a cannon. In fact, you still can own a cannon. There is no restriction on you owning a cannon right now. If you want to buy a cannon, you can buy a cannon. I'm just, pretty much a lot of military high schools have cannons. Colleges have cannons. They're functioning cannons. Now they don't use functioning projectiles, but you can certainly buy a cannon right now. I don't know what the bloody hell he's talking about, but anyway. And he said you couldn't go and purchase a lot of weaponry. That is false. You could buy any weaponry that you wanted to back in those days. There was no restrictions on any of it. So the president, however, ruled out the possibility of issuing an executive order on guns, saying, I can't dictate this stuff. I can do things I've done, and any executive action I can take, I'll continue to take, but I can't outlaw a weapon. I can't change a background check. I can't do that, he said. Biden's comments were in line with his tough stance on guns during the 2020 presidential campaign. Speaking during a fundraising event in Seattle in November 2019, Biden said he supported the Second Amendment, but called absolutist arguments about gun rights bizarre. Joe. And then he went into talking about Here he is. He said, why should we allow people to have military-style weapons, including pistols with 9mm bullets and can hold 10 or more rounds? You know, as far as handguns, isn't it 9mm? I'm not a gun person, but I know that the 9mm is pretty much the most common type of handgun, right? It's funny too because he's saying, "Oh, he's the 9mm round." Let me show you something. I'll look this up real quick because this is funny. So, let's see, 570 ammo. So he's talking about round. It's pretty silly if you ask me the way he talks about this. Come on, here we go. Let's go for here. Let's do images. I'll go back here. Hang on a second. Maybe there's a good comparison of images here. So here's some comparable images of. Oh nope, those are even bigger. Hang on a second. I'm gonna try to find. Hang on, let me find a good comparison here that's labeled. Here we go. So these are. Hang on a second. Okay, so these are. Let's go left. There we go. Here are some. This is a 22, a 38, a 40, a 45. Okay, these are the different caliber weapons, and that's regarding the circumference, right? And a 7.62, a 5.56, a 7.62 by 51, a 7.62, a 7. So he's talking about 9mm. Now they don't have a 9mm. This is an 8mm round, which is similar to a 40 cal. 9mm and a 40 cal are pretty close to the same size. Let's see if I can find another one here that shows where's the 9mm. Okay. Now why don't any of these show a 9mm? But anyway, so these are different rounds. Here's now, for example, this number 52 here is, I think it's a 45-70, isn't it? 52. No, that's a 600. So my rifle takes a 45-70, which is, and I wish they could show a comparison of these. Here's some different size 45s. But anyway, he's talking out of his ass. Let's just put it that way. I'm that's enough of that. I'm not gonna have that in the tabs. So anyway, a 40 is a 10 millimeter. Okay, I knew it was close. It's comparable. A 40 is comparable to a 9 millimeter. And so I know my nephew, for example, has a 9 mil hand. I don't have any handguns. I just have the one rifle that was on my parents' mantle for 50 years that I'm restoring so I can just shoot it one time and then maybe just put it back up on the mantle, or maybe go deer hunting with it someday. But I know my nephew, for example, owns a 9 millimeter. He owns a 40. And they're roughly the same size bullet, almost. But anyway, holy shit, I have a 45-70. Yes, I have my great grandfather's has an 1873. Well, actually, his was I looked it up, and his was manufactured, I think, in 1870 or 1882. But it's a 1873 model Springfield 45-70 trap door rifle. So it has a little trap door. You put a single round in, close the trap door, click, click. Actually, it's 3 clicks on this one because it's a rifle, the Springfield. And then you shoot it, and then you have to open the trap door. It pops the old shell out. You put a new one shell in, and you have to reload it single at a time. Yes, you can shoot a bear with a 45-70. In fact, the 45-70 was the innovation that was used prior to the Indian Wars, and they were used here in Minnesota quite a bit, actually. They're in the Indian uprisings, and also they were the gun that is known for probably the gun that is responsible for the depletion of the buffalo population in the United States, because that weapon was the preferred weapon of buffalo hunters. But in the Indian uprisings, in those wars, they innovated from having a muzzle loader to having this shell that you could pop into your 45-70 trapdoor, and it changed how the tactics of war at the time. So anyway, I can tell that story another time. All right, let's move on though. So Biden's talking about calling 9 millimeters a high caliber weapon. I guess he doesn't know that a 40 cal is bigger than a 9 millimeter. And also it depends on what kind of a, well, never mind. Depends on what kind of a shell you're using, how many grains. It's just stupid. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So anyway, speaking of his trip to Uvalde though, Biden had a very, very mixed reaction to him coming to Uvalde. Now, you probably didn't see this in the regular media, but on Legal Insurrection, they say that Joe Biden receives a mixture of boos, jeers, and thank yous during a visit to Uvalde. Now, the president, honestly, my opinion, regardless of what you think of a president of the United States, a president of the United States taking the time to come to where you live is a big deal, and I think you should always be treated with respect, even though I don't necessarily respect the president. But he's the president, and so you respect the office, and the fact that he did go to Uvalde is a big deal, all right? But media stories insinuated that Biden was beloved during the visit in the role as the comforter-in-chief, while Texas Governor Greg Abbott was allegedly reviled by his own people, but the articles painted a distorted, incomplete picture of the mixed reaction to Biden during his trip to Uvalde. Shocker! On Sunday, President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden visited Uvalde, Texas, the site of last week's horrific mass shooting. During their visit, Biden attended a memorial service held at the school for the victims and afterward went to a mass. President Biden also reportedly met with family members of some of the victims and first responders. As the Bidens arrived, there were greetings with a smattering of cheers, which sounded like just a few people clapping and cheering out of a crowd of both locals and demonstrators from other parts of the country. So this is they have a little video of this here. Let's see. Let's see. So people mainly kept fairly quiet during this, which is appropriate. But let me continue in the article here. Whoops, clicked the wrong button there. I got to get used to where I moved things around. Texas Governor Greg Abbott was also at the memorial service. As he arrived, Abbott was met with some scattered boos and called for change, as seen in this video clip. You know, what's interesting about this? So he got some boos. Because I'd say there's a lot of people cheering him, if you ask me, in that crowd. Now, it's interesting. Are children under constant attack in this community? I'm not sure if I don't know how that is the case. But anyway, the Biden was cheered and Abbott was booed story was one that was picked up by the Huffington Post, Raw story, and some mainstream media reporters, while the Abbott was booed story was picked up by multiple media outlets, including Newsweek and The Hill. Many of the stories insinuate that Biden was beloved during his visit as the comforter in chief, while Abbott was allegedly reviled by his own people. But the stories paint a distorted picture, incomplete, of the reactions to Biden during his trip to Uvalde. The Biden left Mass on Sunday. The crowd was gathered there, had a mixture of reactions, with several booing and jeering, while others yelling, "Do something," and "Thank you." The boos are faintly heard in the first clip and the better in the second, shorter clip, which I imagine is this one. So I don't know what that means, but anyway, and then same here. This says some residents were yelling, "Do something." Do something. I don't. So anyway, apparently the agitated nature of the crowd bothered the Secret Service so much that they didn't allow Biden to walk up and talk to them. So, and a lot of people were yelling, "Do something," and things like that. Also left out of most of media reports I've seen is that the small group booing Abbott as he arrived at the school memorial were Biden supporters, according to a Dallas news station, WFFA. Quote, "While some people came to pay their respects, others came to have their voices heard. We need change, Governor," voices cried from the crowds. Governor Greg Abbott was booed by some of the president's supporters when he arrived. "Our children don't deserve this. Our children need help." In addition, KERA immigration reporter Stella Chavez was asked by CNN's Brian Stelter on his low-rated Sunday morning Reliable Sources program how people felt about Biden coming to Uvalde. Her response confirms there were mixed reactions about the visit. It stoked a lot of outrage. Quote, Chavez said, "I think it depends on who you ask. I think for the most part, families who were affected wanted to focus on their loved ones who were killed. And I think having the leader of our country come here and express, his condolences is important to them. But I also know I've heard people say, now is not the time for him to come here." Asked why that is, Chavez said, "I think some people are concerned about politicizing this event. And I've heard a lot of outrage from people. But I've also heard from folks who say, I don't want to focus on that, on what could have happened, what should have happened. I just want to focus on the kids. So I would just say it depends on who you ask." So, so that's probably typical. I don't know. It's odd to me that Biden it picks and chooses which tragedies he goes to. Obviously, with children, you almost have to go to something like this. But it just always seems like a political event to me. Good morning, GDSOB. How you doing? Oh, damn. I'm that first. I'm going to stay away from that. Also, speaking of which, Biden's approval rating is in the crapper, as we well know. Granted, this is Breitbart, but it's just stating the facts. His job approval is underwater in 47 states and 34% overall. I think the lowest approval rating of any president in modern history. President Joe Biden's job approval rating over the Memorial Day weekend is underwater in 47 states, including the typically dark blue California and his home state of Delaware, according to CIVIQ as rolling job approval average. That's a mouthful. Biden's underwater in 47 states, including California, which overwhelmingly voted for him in 2020, and his home state of Delaware. So there's a whole listing of all these states. 25% now, but where's the low ones? 25. Idaho, 23%. I'm looking at the lowest ones. Kentucky, 23%. North Dakota, 20%. This is his approval rating. Holy shit. 23 in Tennessee, 18% in Wyoming. that can't be good for what's her Cheney? What's her name? Liz Cheney. Ooh, boy. Only 3 states where Biden's approval is above water: Hawaii, Massachusetts, and Vermont. So even in New York, 42% approval rating, 46% disapproval. Yeah, not good. The poll showed Biden's job approval is back down to 34%, down from the 35% earlier this month. With the respondents, the poll also showed that the president has a 55% disapproval, while 10% have no opinion. Okay, so anyway, all right. Moving on real quick here. Let's go. Now, David Hogg tweeted something about this guy. Now, you know who David Hogg is. He's the rock star super scientist from Harvard. Apparently, there's a 25-year-old gun violence prevention advocate who could become the first Gen Z member of Congress. This is Business Insider, so you know that they're cheering him on. Lunatics in the house. Nice to see you. 25-year-old Maxwell Alejandro Frost could become the first Gen Z member of Congress. Gun violence prevention advocate. He's running for Congress in Orlando with the backing of top progressives. Insider spoke with Frost about why he's running for office and what he hopes to accomplish. Do you think, first of all, can he win a primary? He's 25 years old. Do you think that people are going to vote for him? Maxwell Alejandro Frost, a 25-year-old gun violence prevention advocate, first became involved in politics after 20 children and 6 adults were fatally shot at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012. A decade later, Frost is a leading candidate for the Democratic nomination in Florida's Orlando area 10th Congressional District. And he's grappling once again with the implication of the country's most recent mass shootings in Buffalo, New York, and Uvalde, Texas. Now, notice what Business Insider did there. Only those 2. Have there been other mass shootings? In fact, there's some over the Memorial Day weekend. But again, mass shooting definitions are fluid. It's depending on who you ask. But notice nothing about the one in California, nothing about the one in Milwaukee. He says, just last week, I was at a vigil for the Buffalo shooting. I've actually been to over 60 vigils for shooting in the past decade, 60 vigils I can remember. 10 years ago, I became an organizer because of Sandy Hook. 3 years later, I became a survivor myself. The same year, Pulse. Now I'm running for Congress, and 15 lives were taken at another elementary school. I will not stop until the endless shootings do. Interesting. He mentioned Pulse. Tyre, what's happening? Good morning. Never let a good tragedy go to waste, right? It's a weird way. It is, in a weird way, bringing things full circle. He added, remarking the similarities of school shootings at Sandy Hook and Uvalde and the lack of legislative action in the nearly 10 years since then. I don't know if there's a starker condemnation of the government and the inaction in that. Well, okay. Frost, a member of Gen Z and what he dubs the mass shooting generation, is running to replace Democratic Representative Val Demings, who's making a bid for the U.S. Senate. In 2016, he survived a close brush with violence himself at a Halloween event in downtown Orlando when 2 men nearby got into a shooting match with one another. We all started running, he says. I remember I had to pick up my friend who froze on the ground. Now he stands a very good chance of becoming Congress's newest, most prominent gun violence prevention advocate, running on a platform of gun violence prevention, tackling the climate crisis, reforming the criminal justice system, and preventing future pandemics. Well, he's ambitious now, isn't he? And that's, I mean, I don't have a problem with him being ambitious either, but, well, never mind. He also has the backing of Sam and Gabe Bankman-Fried, a crypto industry billionaire, pouring millions into boosting candidates focused on stopping future pandemics as part of an effective altruist campaign. Interesting. So he has the backing of a billionaire. I thought billionaires were evil. And how much can a billionaire contribute to one member of candidate's campaign? I'm just curious. I'm just wondering, you know. Oh wow, that's weird. Okay, that's still up there. He is real. Oh, listen to this. You know Pramila Jayapal, right, from Washington? He is really an intersectional candidate. Representative Pramila Jayapal of Washington, the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and one of Frost's biggest progressive backers, told Insider at the Capitol. I don't know what I was doing at 25, but I definitely was not thinking about running for office. I'm just curious. Now, Business Insider's, you know, it pretends to be a business magazine, but it's really just a liberal political magazine. But they're really pushing this kid. They really like this kid. And I find it interesting that they do. But anyway, so look out for, let's see how Maxwell Alejandro Frost does. I would doubt that he even wins a primary. He might get votes from young people, but he's not going to win a primary in Orlando. The average voter is not going to probably vote for a 25-year-old. I'm just probably not. He may make it in the next 5-6 years, depending if the. Now, granted, he's in Val Deming's district. I still don't think so. Unless of course, now this might happen. If Val Demings herself endorses this kid, it's possible. Who knows? All right, let's move on because I'm running out of time already. And I got a lot to catch up on. What do I have here? Oh, and then on Twitter, just a couple things that are trending or have been trending. One is AR-15 is trending. Now I'm getting to something. This is leading up to something here. I found it interesting. So on Twitter, everyone's just falling all over themselves to be the most anti-gun people, right? Republican governor. Oh, interesting. Republican governor Asa Hutchinson raises the minimum purchase age of AR-15 style weapons for conversation in gun reform negotiations. Interesting. This is an article from The Hill. Republican Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson expressed his willingness for a conversation on raising the minimum. Expressed his willingness for a conversation on raising the minimum age to purchase a semi-automatic rifle from 18 to 21 and AR-15 style weapons amidst fresh stalks on gun reforms and deadly mass shootings in Texas last week. You know, good God. So if you only knew you know that more people are killed in fistfights or bodily, using parts of your body as a weapon, fists, feet, etc., than with rifles. And that includes all rifles. More people are killed by hands, feet, and other body parts than rifles. But the rifle incidents are so much more sensational and so much more publicized. And someone had the nerve to say, the rifle's the most gun used in mass shootings. No, it's not. Not even close. Not even in the top. Well, it's not. They're not by any stretch of the imagination. But they get the news. They get the ink, man. They get the screen time. Hutchins told CMN's John Berman on Tuesday he supported ongoing bipartisan dialogue between a group of U.S. senators to potentially draft new gun control legislation. Hutchins said one area the bipartisan congressional group should look at is the AR-15 style weapons and whether the minimum age to purchase one should be raised. You have to have at least one conversation about that, said Hutchinson, a stalwart defender of the Second Amendment. So it's interesting that he's willing to at least talk about it. But it's funny because I saw the headline. I'm like, it sounds like, oh, he's already doing it. He's gonna do an executive order in Arkansas. Nah, he said it's on the table. All right, David Hogg. Speaking of David Hogg, the brilliant scientific mind of a young man from Harvard University, says when the trained good guys with guns aren't brave enough to face a bad guy with an AR-15 like they weren't in Texas or Parkland, the problem is the damn AR-15. There were over a dozen good guys in Texas with guns. None of them did anything. We need action on gun safety, not debate. No, we need action on why those cops didn't go and do their job. Again, they've made this mythological, they've made the AR-15 this mythological weapon that is so much, so, what's the word? I don't know. Babylon Bee article, shooter walks free as police tackle and arrest an AR-15. Okay, that's a little too soon, but I don't know, it's funny though. Anyway, there's a whole bunch. Oh, this is the one I wanted to show you. This is video. It'll be in the links. In fact, I'll make a separate link of this one because this is funny. There's a rush to show one's virtue. I don't know why I meant to do that. That's not how I meant to do it. A rush to show one's virtue with weapons. And this guy is certainly right up there in the bunch of weirdos and bananas. Anyway, this guy has decided, come on screen, come on baby, come on, you can do it. You can do it. I need to move my, I need to run my monitors out of my GPU instead of my regular. Anyway, oh no, it's gone. Where's this guy? This is the guy meant. Oh, I see what I did. Let's get a copy and we'll put it in here because I want to put this link separately just so you can revel in the glory of this gentleman. So Jake, this is the tweet. Jake, a gun owner. He enjoyed shooting his AR-15 for years, a believer in the Second Amendment, a believer that he nor any other civilian should own an AR-15. As he listens to me read the names of the Uvalde victims on my podcast, destroys his gun as instructed by his local police. Okay, wait a minute. What?
Eliana Garcia, Eva Mireles.
Okay, first of all, this dude who is destroying his weapons while he's listening to this. First of all, did the police department? Oh, so here I'm going to remove the video. Here's the video. It says. He said that he, a regular citizen, doesn't need to own an AR-15. So he called his local police department. They told him how to destroy it. So as he's listening to me read the names of the Uvalde victims, he is rendering his AR-15 useless. We may not be able to change everything all at once, but we can do what we can today. So, here's what's fascinating to me about this. Was he planning on going out and shoot somebody? Or was he worried that the AR was going to go out and shoot somebody on its own? I don't know. Anyway, there's people, if you look at her AR-15, there's people just falling all over themselves to see who can condemn guns the most, right? Well, I think Justin Trudeau is going to win the game today because in Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the introduction of a bill that would place a national freeze on handgun ownership across Canada. Interesting. Here's the thread I saw yesterday. Come on, here we go. Justin Trudeau tweets, "One Canadian killed by gun violence is one too many. That's why we've banned 1,500 types of military-style assault firearms. And that's why today we've introduced legislation to further strengthen gun control in Canada. Through this legislation, we'll move forward with a national freeze on handgun ownership. In other words, it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada once this bill becomes law. We'll also increase criminal penalties to combat gun smuggling and trafficking, provide authorities with more tools to investigate firearm crimes, and criminalize the modern modification of magazines to prevent them from holding more than the legal limit. In addition, we'll make sure that people involved in acts of domestic violence or criminal harassment have their firearms license taken away, and we'll make sure that those who are considered a danger to themselves or others have to surrender their firearms to authorities. For more on the legislation we've introduced and the steps we're taking to keep our community safe, click here." Fascinating. So some of the answers here. So let me get this straight. 70% of Americans strongly support banning assault-style weapons. Why do the 30% who strongly oppose it get their way? Do they, though? And when they say assault-style weapons, what kind of assault-style weapon? Assault-style weapon. What is an assault weapon? Dan Rather, "The anger has not subsided." Stephen King, "Sometimes all you want for lunch is peanut butter and jelly sandwich." Wait, what? That has nothing to do with that. Holy shit. Anyway, Canadians, what do you think of that? I'm curious. Because I know there's a lot of hunters in Canada. Like, obviously, this doesn't seem like it affects hunters. I know that I know some friends who go up to Canada each year and get special permits so they can go elk hunting. It's a fascinating thing. Here's the CNN article on the same thing. Or here, no, I guess this is him talking. I mean, he's our Canada's version of Beto O'Rourke, if you ask me. I mean, this is what we would get if Beto O'Rourke was president. We would get Justin Trudeau. Oh, is this going to show a commercial? If it does, it is. Come on, shut up. I don't want that. Is there a way to fast forward that? There is not. Damn it. So here he is on a version of him on CNN. As soon as this commercial goes away. "I have a lot of assault things in my workshop. I call them tools." Yes, I could hit you with a hammer and it would be an assault. And again, like I said, hands and feet kill more people than rifles in the United States. Oh, this is here it is. There's a CNN report.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is making a push to strengthen gun safety in his country.
Oh,
Introducing
yay.
new legislation that will implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. CNN's Bryn Gingras here with the latest on this. Bryn.
Yeah, John, I mean, a stunning proposal, and then, like you said,
Stunning.
in response to what happened in
I
Uvalde
wonder
and
if
Buffalo,
are
Trudeau's
Canadians going to
proposal
buy
puts
this?
a
Are they going to?
freeze on handgun ownership in Canada by not making it possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in the country.
I think
Now,
there's
that
going to be a lot of
includes
boating
finding
accidents in
gun smugglers
Canada.
and traffickers, and helping law enforcement actually enforce and investigate those crimes. In addition, if this passes, it would be illegal for long guns to hold anything more than 5 rounds. Gun
Sorry, this
makers
is
would
really
actually
quiet.
be forced to make rifles that way, if you can believe that. The proposal would also bar anyone involved in acts of domestic
Wait, what did
violence
she
or
say about
criminal
long guns?
harassment from owning a gun. Now, Trudeau did say, listen, he understands most gun owners use their guns safely, but there is no need for assault-style weapons in the country. This is an issue the Prime
what's an
Minister
assault-style
campaigned on,
weapon?
and here's more of what he had to say about it.
As a government, as a society, we have a responsibility to act to prevent more tragedies.
Really?
Canadians certainly don't need assault-style weapons that were designed to kill the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time. Gun violence is a complex problem, but at the end of the day, the math is really quite simple.
Is it?
The fewer the guns in our communities, the safer everyone will be.
You know,
And this
now,
government has
that's-
taken action
so
against
yesterday,
guns
hang on
before
a second,
after
I'm
the
gonna pause
country's
this.
deadliest massacre in Nova Scotia 2 years ago. It banned 150 type of military-style assault weapons. Now, handguns make up about 59% of violent crimes that included a firearm over the last 10 years. This is just a proposal, but it has support, and it could be passed as.
All right, enough of that. Thank you, Tyler Alexander, for sponsoring the show, who says, serfdom and slaves take away the guns is going to make law-abiding citizens vulnerable and embolden criminals. I love the hypocrisy of only cops should have guns, but they want to defund the police. Either the police are good or the police are bad. Well, you know, thank you for sponsoring the show. And Tyre, you are the new Streamlab.
You are the new
I never
Streamlab
reset it.
Superstar sponsor of the
Well,
day.
you are the Streamlab Superstar sponsor of the day. I apologize. I never reset the stream labels. That was dumb. Again, I've been working on the new set for a while. So, Tyre, you are it, man. You're it. In fact, I wonder if I could do this. Let's see if this will work. It's not resetting it. Well, I tried. Anyway. If we didn't already have the guns we have, I would say maybe you could possibly do it, but the problem is all the criminals have guns. And, you know, they don't ever talk about that. What is it, between 500,000 and a million different things were prevented by guns, like crimes were prevented by people with guns last year or whatever, over whatever the period they're talking about. Anyway, speaking of Justin Trudeau, though, not all as rosy with him anyway. Apparently, this is called the Honking for Freedom newsletter. Now, I don't know what this is actually. Someone's Substack. But anyway, apparently there's a bank in Canada that has apologized over the trucker convoy account freeze. Scotiabank, the first of the big five banks to issue an apology over the freezing of bank accounts belonging to trucker convoy protester. In an email from the office of the CEO of Scotiabank, Brian J. Porter asked protest spokesperson Benjamin Dichter to please accept our sincere apologies for the frustration and inconvenience this situation may have caused, and thank you for your patience while we prepared our response. I don't believe the banks went out of their way to target clients. I believe it came from somewhere else. They didn't do it on their own accord, Dichter said. In the email dated March 3rd, Scotiabank alludes to an RCMP notification as the impetus for what happened to Dichter and hundreds of others. He says he was surprised by the letter suggesting that banks are probably nervous about massive customer backlash and suggests they are now likely engaged in damage control. And then he said, we can confirm that financial institutions acted quickly to unfreeze accounts after the RCMP notified us that it believes that individuals and entities previously identified are no longer engaged in conduct or activities prohibited under the emergency measures regulations. Scotiabank says it worked quickly to unfreeze the accounts while appearing to laying the blame for the decision to freeze them in the first place at the feet of the RCMP. So some of the banks are apologizing now. Okay. Let's see. Deputy Prime Minister Christina Freeland, the names of both individuals and entities as well as the crypto wallets have been shared by the RCMP with financial institutions, and accounts have been frozen and more accounts will be frozen. So that's, that was when it started happening. But now the banks are apologizing, I guess. Interesting. Sorry I punched you in the face. I didn't do it on my own accord. Yes, exactly. Moon, hi. I didn't see you there. Good morning, my dear. All right, let's see. Top Gun is, and I wanted to put this closer to Biden not sending rockets to Ukraine. Maybe he should send Tom Cruise. Top Gun's Maverick breaks a 15-year Memorial Day box office record with a $156 million take. Now, I don't know if that's adjusted for inflation, but Maverick breaks a 15-year Memorial Day record with $156 million just a day after it was revealed that Top Gun Maverick earned star Tom Cruise's first ever $100 million opening weekend. Something about the updated numbers. So anyway, congratulations to Tom Cruise and Top Gun. We almost went and saw that last night, but I just didn't. Hello, Lord Stanhope, by the way. All right, let's keep it going. This is I don't know what this outlet is, but speaking of gun violence, nation sees a bloody Memorial Day weekend of gun violence in Democrat-run crime-ridden cities. Pretty sure this is a right-wing outlet. America may have mourned the senseless deaths of 19 elementary school children and 2 adults in Uvalde, Texas over the Memorial Day weekend, but the carnage of gun violence in many American cities continued, with the White House pushing for gun control and President Joe Biden including 9mm handguns in the conversation. A bloody Memorial Day weekend saw at least 30 people killed and dozens more injured in gun violence. The deadliest city proved to be Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Irony.
Your life makes me sad.
Where at least 13 people lost their lives in 16 different shootings, according to CBS Philly. Among the dead were a father and his 9-year-old son, who were fatally shot while sitting in their vehicle a few yards from their home. That's very sad. I just heard a whole bunch of gunshots, and I came outside just to see him in his car slumped over and unresponsive, the wife and mother of the deceased said. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that Chicago lived up to its violent expectations, reporting that 48 people were shot over the long holiday weekend with 9 fatalities. A 16-year-old girl was among the wounded. There were at least 4 people killed in Baltimore, including a 17-year-old boy, according to the Baltimore Sun. 2 men were also killed in a triple shooting Saturday night, and a woman was fatally shot. I am sickened by that this plague continues to grip our city, Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott said. I will continue to push every public safety agency to do more, but it will also require all of us to collectively say enough is enough, and we're not going to accept or allow violence in our city. The city is on its pace to exceed last year's homicide total. In Oklahoma, 1 person was killed and 7 people were injured in a shooting Saturday night at an outdoor festival, including, according to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, and on it goes. Although this type of violence is not often cited by those pursuing a gun control agenda, critics will say this violence is a clear sign of cultural rot in America, similar to the argument made popular by popular podcaster Joe Rogan, who says America does not have a gun problem and has a mental health problem. There's certainly a problem. Is it people coming out of these? I don't know what it is. People coming out of the COVID restrictions. Is it people just losing their minds because everyone's, yelling at each other about shit they don't necessarily need to be yelling at each other about? I don't know. It's crazy. Rand Paul slams Democrat plan to brand police and soldiers to white supremacists and neo-Nazis. So, in a speech on the Senate floor, Rand Paul blasted efforts by Democrats to paint up all law enforcement officers and those in the military as dangerous radical racists. Paul was addressing the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2022, blocked by Republicans in the Senate, that demands the FBI and Department of Homeland Security change the way they investigate and monitor domestic terrorism suspects. The official summary of the bill notes that an interagency task force would be established in order to probe into white supremacist and neo-Nazi infiltration of the uniformed services and federal law enforcement agencies. This bill should be called by a more accurate name, the Democrat plan to brand our police and soldiers as white supremacists and neo-Nazis, Paul proclaimed. He continued, how insulting, adding, we knew that Democrats despise and want to defund the police, but now they believe that the police, federal law enforcement, and the U.S. military are full of white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Referring to a now mothballed Disinformation Governance Board, Paul also noted, those of us still care about the Bill of Rights, not just got done taking down the DHS Ministry of Truth, and a day later, the Democrats want to create this DHS thought police. You couldn't make it up if you tried, but they don't stop there. The bill creates 2 other thought police offices in the Department of Justice and at the FBI, which seems like a self-defeating choice since elsewhere in this bill, we are told that federal law enforcement is shot through with white supremacists and neo-Nazis. So, yeah, there's some cognitive dissonance in the bill itself. Anyway, if you want to listen to his speech, they have a link down here on a Rumble. It also says subscribe on YouTube. But anyway, before we move on real quick, thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
For sponsoring the show. Appreciate you. He says, why would anyone take advice about guns from anti-gun folks who want to ban AR-14s as well as fully semi-automatic weapons?
That's right.
Maybe they should learn about the shit they want to ban first.
That's right.
I live in the hood, so I don't get caught. or I don't get caught lacking. There you go. Thank you,
That's
Black
right.
Israelite. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's always funny as I read some of these people who have their solutions, and they start talking about shit that they clearly don't know a damn thing about. So it's kind of wild. All right. And speaking of more crime in the United States. Apparently there's a viral video showing a New York subway passenger grabbing a woman's hair. She begs unresponsive onlookers for help. I saw this video the other day and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Do they have, I wonder if they have the video here. It's possible. It's taking a while for the, to look for this to load. Oh, is this it right here? Hang on a second. Well, anyway, this, yeah, it was so this just kind of weird little dude is walking around kind of lunging at people and shit. And, he sits down next to the woman. The woman tries to get up to go away, and he grabs her hair and pulls her back down the seat and makes her sit next to him. So let's see. A disturbing viral video posted on Twitter last week shows a New York City subway passenger shouting obscenities, kicking a window, and grabbing a woman's hair as onlookers made no move to help her. The passenger, dressed in a poorly fitted white hoodie, is shown storming throughout the subway car as other riders attempted to avoid him or her. The passenger abruptly sat down next to a woman. When she tried to get up and leave, the passenger grabbed her hair and yanked her back into her seat. "Somebody help me," mouthed the distressed woman. None of the other riders would have responded. Just another day in New York City, safest subway system where innocent people are being harassed and assaulted. But the mayor wants you to ride the subway instead of driving to save the environment. A few moments later, the passenger continued to tug her hair, stood up and yelled, "Get up," and forced the woman to her feet, shoving her and another to the other end of the subway car. The passenger then stormed off, shouting, "Shut the fuck up." The rider recorded the video. A rider recorded the video, then turned the camera toward himself. "This is what I deal with," he said. "New York City demons, you understand?" Meanwhile, the disturbed passenger yelled and began kicking the subway car windows as other riders continued to give him or her a wide berth. It's unclear when the video was originally taken. However, a spokesman for the New York Police Department told the New York Post that there were no reports on file regarding the video. It was a very disturbing video. Unfortunately, I don't have a link to it. There's probably a link in the. Is there a link in the? It's possibly the link in here. Let's see. Let's see if it's in the New York Post. Let's click. Oh yeah, I think it's a video in this article. Yeah. Okay. Here's the video. Well, I'm not going to show it, but you can see the video, or you can look at it here. Moving on. Oh, and so, you know, the consequences of good intentions. For example, a lot of these district attorneys trying to set people free when they commit crimes because we don't want them to feel bad and be in jail, and it helps equity and shit like that. And sometimes we just do things that we hope will make people better people and show that we care. Well, something's changed. People won't stop for Washington State Police after a post-George Floyd law restricts when cops can pursue. Oh, shocker. Washington State Patrol officials are concerned that citizens are no longer stopping for them, according to a Thursday report. Between January 1st and May 17th this year, the state agency logged 934 failure to yield instances, according to Northwest News Network. Longtime officers concurred that the phenomenon is unprecedented. The patrol and other police agencies around the state say they've never seen such blatant disregard for their lights and sirens, Northwest News Network said. The change in driver behavior comes after state lawmakers passed strict new rules on when police can engage in pursuits. Something's changed. People are not stopping right now. Sergeant Derek Wright, a WSP spokesman with 3 decades of experience, told the outlet it's happening 3 to 5 times a shift and on some nights, and then a couple times a week on a day shift. It used to be sort of unusual and notable to see someone flee or see someone simply choose not to stop on a traffic stop. Now it's becoming incredibly common. So they're not stopping to get their tickets. So and the police are not allowed to change them. So there you go. That's what they said. That's what they decided that. They chose that. And they're shocked that, oh my God, people are not stopping for the police. Well, shocker. Let's see. Let's just do some odds and ends and I got to get out of here. If these will mean. Ilhan Omar is complaining about media bias in a speech to an organization repeatedly accused of terrorist ties. Oh my gosh, can please one of these people running against her win? Probably not. I'm pulling for oh my gosh, what's his name? Royce. I'm pulling for Royce White in that district. He's a good dude. I'm going to try to get him on my show one of these days. Democratic Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar blamed the media for Islamophobia in the U.S. in a Saturday welcome address to an organization repeatedly accused of having ties to Islamic terrorist organizations. Omar participated in the Islamic Circle of North America convention, a conference which also features Minnesota Attorney General and former Democratic National Committee Deputy Chairman Keith Ellison. In a 26-minute speech, the Congresswoman complained that American media is biased towards Muslims. Wait a minute. Biased towards Muslims or against Muslims? Just asking. Got to ask the question. And that coverage is not representative of either the American Muslim community or Muslims worldwide. There isn't a single Wikipedia page that you can open about a Muslim leader in the U.S. and abroad where you will not read something so atrocious that you do not want to associate yourself with them. It doesn't matter which article you read about this convention, every single Muslim convention, about me, every other leader, you will be shocked to see what people are saying about us and how we actually see ourselves. So, really, because I really don't see a whole lot of mean talk about Ilhan Omar, at least not on the mainstream media. Now, I know that there's some certain right-wing nut job, whatever she likes to call them. They're not nut jobs, but I just wanted to say that. But I don't know. If she's speaking to a group that has potential ties to some bad people, some bad things. So, but you know, media bias. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite, for sponsoring the show once again. And Black Hebrew Israelite, you are the new Streamlab Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you, sir. Who says, Black Hebrew Israelite says, the president told us all we need is a shotgun to fire in the air if we feel threatened. That would get you arrested with a felony discharge within the city limits.
That's right.
Please blame the tool, not the criminal, so we can take the tool away. That's right. Yeah, that's their solution. Take away the tool and not put the ass wipe in jail, as opposed to ass wiped. All right. Here's what's left because I am running out of time. In the Federalist, there's an article about how parents in Fairfax, Virginia, are rallying against a policy punishing their middle schoolers for calling boys boys and girls girls. So remember the kid was arrested. They tried to arrest and charge a kid with sexual harassment for misgendering a 12-year-old. Anyway, parents rallied outside Luther Jackson Middle School in Fairfax, Virginia on Thursday in opposition to a proposed policy change that would increase penalties on 4th through 6th graders for misgendering or dead naming people. For example, addressing a boy as he, even though he calls himself a female, or calling a transgender or gender expansive people by the name other than their chosen name. So, some 12-year-old decides they're going to join the trend and call themselves something else. If you accidentally call Kevin Kevin instead of Shirley. They're going to increase the penalties. The Fairfax School County Board was initially scheduled to consider this change to the student rights and responsibilities guides at their meeting that evening, but they rescheduled discussion on the topic to June 16th because a bunch of parents showed up and told them to fuck off. It could be that some people are waiting for the stillness and quiet of a summer evening when we're all not paying attention, said Stephanie Lundquist Aurora, the mother who spoke at the event. But I'm here to say our enthusiasm for the First Amendment will not wane. We will not stop paying attention even in the summer months. Oh, they were trying to wait till school's out to pass this bullshit. In addition to this policy change, rallygoers expressed concern about the declining education quality and the racist and sexualized materials in school. Azra Nomani was a senior contributor at the Federalist and whose son graduated from the school system, showed a group of parents a stack of books she said were in schools around the country. A children's book called Not My Idea, a book about whiteness, named Nomani showed the other parents in line that read, "Innocence is overrated." Nomani also held up a book for teenagers called Let's Talk About It, The Teen's Guide to Sex, Relationships, and Being a Human. The book has cartoon illustrations of people who are naked and engaging in sexual acts. Yes! I wonder if I could get kicked off of YouTube if I showed one of those books as story time on YouTube. For some reason, I guess they wouldn't care. The book, Nomani showed parents where the book encouraged teens to post pornography of themselves online. What? Holy shit. Nomani said when governments go unsupervised, sexualized education becomes state-sanctioned criminality, and the state of Virginia does in fact allow public schools to engage in activity that is unlawful for almost every other entity. Publicly funded schools are included in a short list of entities not forbidden by state code to purchase, exhibit, distribute, and loan obscene books and printed material. This means public schools in Virginia are allowed to distribute sexualized books to children, even if the books have no literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. So anyway, if you want to read, there's a couple more paragraphs about that. Gallup says only 16% of adults say the United States is headed in the right direction. Do I even need to read anymore? I don't think I do. 16% think the U.S. is heading in the right direction. That's not good. Real quick. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's
and
right.
for sponsor the show one more time. Appreciate you. Who says they wanted to defund the police nationwide and said ACAB, all cops are bastards. Many cops quit because of the campaign. Now the ones that left are cowards and morons. Thanks BLM. Or the ones that are left are cowards and morons. Thanks BLM. Now more blacks are dying at the hands of criminals. What do you expect from lesbian? You must be talking about Chicago.
That's right.
I'm just gonna leave that there. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite, for sponsoring the show one more time. Let's see. Let me see if I can finish this up here. Rashida Tlaib is facing a pro-Israel primary challenger in her. Where's she from? Is she from? She's from Massachusetts. Wait, why is this talking about New York? With the final New York court-approved redistricting maps cementing chaos for Democrats, the election year infighting has already started with powerful New York leftists running on each other and yelling racism after DCCC Chair Sean Patrick Maloney abandoned his old congressional seat, instead running in the newly drawn 17th district, which is currently represented by woke freshman Representative Mondara Jones. Jones reportedly now mulling over whether to stay in his district or run against 16th Congressional District Representative Jamal Bowman. Unfortunately for Democrats, the Spider-Man finger-pointing at one another hasn't been confined to the Empire State. Radical anti-Israel Congressional Squad member Representative Rashida Tlaib is facing a primary challenge in the redrawn 12th Congressional District. Tlaib currently represents the 13th from Democrat Detroit City Clerk Janice Winfrey, who just received the backing of the well-funded PAC that plans to put $1 million behind her in advance of the August 2nd primary. So apparently she's a very pro-Israel candidate, and Rashida Tlaib is very anti-Israel. So that's interesting. Yeah, the Democrats are in disarray in some places where they've done some redistricting. And it's not even, they can't even blame it on Republicans. It's because they're in states where that's where the Democrats do things. So anyway, gang, I got to go. I'm going to call it right now. So thank you all for being here today. Let me fix this. There we go. There's my face. I will put the links in the description. I'm not going to get to it right away. I have to do something real quick before that. But anyway, thank you for being here. Thanks for the sponsors today. Ty Alexander, Black Hebrew Israelite. You are awesome. And everyone who's participated in the chat, hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Hit it, put a comment in the comments section if you are watching on replay. And share the link before, during, after the show. I will get the little glitches out of the scenes here. But for now, that's it. I got to go. My name is P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.